reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
I can't tell you how stoked we were when we walked around the corner and we saw you all standing there. I was like, wait a minute, are they for us? We got a little scared. Hey, I want to say thank you all for coming. You've got the Carbine development team working on WildStar. I'm going to start with my introduction. My name is Troy Human. I'm the community director / producer, which means I do whatever they tell me to do. We're going to start right over here.
Hello. I'm Mike Donatelli. I'm the content director. You might have seen me in a video on Up at Noon. It was creepy, but I recommend seeing it.
I'm Chad Moore. I'm the lead narrative designer, which means I do a lot of writing and lore and character stuff, all the stuff that I'm certain all of you guys are going to read every word that they put on.
I'm Jeremy Gaffney. I'm executive producer, which means I take credit for everything that everybody else does.
I'm Matt McCarskey. I do everything Jeremy takes credit for. I'm the art director and the creative director of the project.
I'm Charlie Lanius. I'm the audio director, so I'm responsible for all things audio, music, sound effects, and actually I share a VO with Happy Moore down at the end of the table.
All right, so I thought we would kick things off by showing you the latest video, What is WildStar? Mike Gilbert over here, who is our global brand manager, he's going to be working the controls today. He's going to play that video for you now.
Yeah!
Legend tells of the mysterious planet Nexus, once inhabited by the hyper-advanced Elden, who disappeared from the galaxy long ago. Where is this lost world? What mysteries and wonders would be found there? And does it conceal ancient technologies and forbidden magic of awesome, unimaginable power? Guess what? You're gonna find out, Cupcake. Nexus has just been discovered, and things are about to get real. Welcome to WildStar. When someone finds the most legendary planet in the universe, you can be damn sure that everyone's saddling up their starship and blazing a trail to get there. On one side, you've got the Exiles, a motley crew of refugees, outlaws, and mercenaries. On the other, the Dominion, a powerful interstellar empire that prides itself on kicking ass. Throw in a bunch of the weirdest, wildest, and most ruthless races this side of the event horizon, and you've got an explosive cocktail just looking for someone to party with. You ready for a fight? Oh, yeah. Face off against dangerous alien organisms, killer robots, and savage natives, using skill, movement, and some old-fashioned backbone to smash your enemies to smithereens. Whether your arsenal is big guns and bullets or supercharged magical spells, you'll be cracking skulls and making corpses in no time. Well, stakes not high enough for you? Then you and some of your most bloodthirsty friends should double down and buy a Warplot. Then outfit it with enough firepower to blow a hole in the space-time continuum. When your death fortress is complete, go to war against your enemies and earn rewards so epic your head will explode like a supernova. Boom! Taming a hostile alien world ain't gonna be easy, so choose a path and start taking care of business. As a soldier, scientist, settler, or explorer, you'll be facing Nexus head-on with custom content and rewards that make it your kind of adventure. So whether it's starting a war, building a town, climbing a mountain, or studying bug-eyed, brain-eating extraterrestrial critters, you're whipping this planet into shape with your own personal style. You didn't come halfway across the galaxy for a weekend visit, no. So grab a plot, build a house, and kick back on your little piece of the galactic dream. Customize your house with a mind-numbing array of choices, transforming it into a unique reflection of your own enigmatic, schizophrenic, or sociopathic tastes snazzy. And just when you think it's all over and maybe it's time to take a breather, guess again. Dive headfirst into an episodic world story to reveal the ultimate secrets of Nexus, doing your best to avoid getting demolished, dissected, or vaporized. Along the way, you'll see some of the most epic content since the Big Bang itself, squaring off against the most hair-raising enemies that Nexus has to offer. Add to that an unbelievable lineup of dungeons, raids, PvP battlegrounds, and adventures, and you've got a rich, deep, unforgettable experience that's guaranteed to blow your mind. WildStar. Adventures are back to the galaxy.
You can feel that in our bones.
I'm just vibrating my seat. Can we play it again?
It's usually a little over the top. It's really over the top. You're 6 foot in front of the speakers.
Exactly. Hey, so that video actually showcased some of the really important things that we want to make sure you take away about WildStar. I want to throw it over to JG to talk a little bit about. So in the video, we saw references to paths, warplots, housing, some Elder Game mechanics, and then we went through the dungeons, the raids, the battlegrounds, adventures, that whole thing. Talk a little bit about what we're doing here.
So here's the real short form. We're a company of gamers. Everybody in the company, from receptionist to CEO, plays games. And so we think there's a couple of things that need to be done to make MMOs rock. First of all, one of the easiest things to screw up is to have a crappy leveling game. If it's boring, if it's grindy, if it's repetitive, there's about 48 ways to screw it up. And so we don't want that. We want to make sure it's high variety. We want lots of areas, and each area feels very different one to the next. We want to have different gameplay in each of those areas. We want paths because people identify as certain play styles. Even if you're not all up on like Bartle's types and all the goofy research on the subject, it's not goofy, Bartle's a smart dude. Even if you're not up on MMO research, people tend to know how they play games. Some people want to explore. They got to see like that bright shiny thing up in the mountains, and they got to figure out how to get up there. So we reward them for it. And we give them quest content and mission content that's the kind of things they want to do. Or people study and they want to do every single thing. If you got to catch like every single Pokemon, if you must do every achievement, that's like a collector style. It's scientists for us. Socializing. About 20% of people want to play MMOs largely to socialize, and so we give a path around it. Or if you're like, to hell with all those other people, I want to kill stuff, I want to go beat Roy Jenkins on everything. Awesome, you're a soldier. Big public quests, assassination missions, weapon trials. We want to give people and let people play the way they want to play. And really all of our systems are based around that. But there's 2 components for us. Got to have a good leveling game. Got to be fun, got to be deep, got to have a good time, especially if you played a ton of MMOs before. And then you have to do Elder Games. And Elder Games, for those not familiar with the term, what do you do once you've hit level cap? And this is like the MMO internal term. We're not trying to put marketing buzz around like Elder Game as a meme or anything. That's what do you do when you're at top level. Because the game should not end there, the game should start there in many ways, and there's got to be deep stuff for you to play over the long haul. And so we want that for PvP. That's what Warplots is all about. We want that if you're a soloer, because soloers often get, to be blunt, kind of left alone at the top level with not much to do but grind stuff. And really, or alternatively, if you're in the group stuff, then we want to give you awesome raids and like deep, hard raids, as opposed to either not have time to do it or bunt and do crap, or God forbid, do nothing. So anyway, the long story short on it is those are the aspects we really want to nail. Have a great time while you're leveling, and when you're done leveling, make sure there's fun stuff to do that you have not done before. And mix this in with our own bizarre sense of humor, which has absolutely no demographic we're trying to appeal to other than to enjoy it, and it's kind of us. So any game we do, it's kind of what you're going to get.
So we mentioned a little bit about Elder Game stuff. Mike Donatelli, can you talk a little bit about adventures and how that plays a role?
Sure, I can talk about adventures. We do a lot of, as Jeremy was saying, we try to do a lot of content for everybody, all the way up through the game to Elder Game. One of the things we do as well is group-oriented I want to say they're dungeons or raids, but it's group-oriented content that's very strategic. We call them adventures, and you turn around and you queue for them like you would a dungeon, and then you go in there and they're very strategic. It's not just kind of, kill bosses, kill trash, get cool loot. There's cool loot involved, but it's more of a you're in the Matrix kind of situation where you go and you get these crazy, wacky things we've had for you to do, and you go through one of them. You actually escort a wagon train through an entire zone worth of monsters, and you choose paths to go on. You make decisions to cure them, to save them, to help them get to the end, but it's very strategic and it lasts for about 2 hours. So adventure content, we have it leveling all the way up through cap, and it's just one of the ways we're trying to appeal to group-oriented PvE players.
Nice. So I have a question for everyone on the panel. Thinking about the things that we can talk about, and that's a lot of stuff. Talk to me about the thing that you are most excited for as it relates to WildStar. Charlie?
Okay, hey, so I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit. This is not necessarily a feature, but it's content. I'm really excited about the music in this game. We put a lot of...
Tell us more about the awesome voiceover.
And the voiceover as well. I'll tell you about a couple of those things. So the music, our lead composer, Jeff Kurtnacker, has put his blood, sweat, and tears into the score for this game. It's not your typical fantasy score. We've actually taken a hybrid approach. We took a full live orchestra, 90-piece plus orchestra. We've laid on electronic elements, so you have dubstep and trancey and all kinds of weird electronic stuff. And then we've layered in some Western guitar-ish, out on the dusty plain. So it's this really interesting hybrid score that I don't think people have put into games before. And we spent a lot of time and effort really crafting it. We wanted it to sound basically like at the level of film score. So that's one thing, music. And then the second thing I'm really excited about,
Two things.
Yeah, I can have to.
Go ahead.
Good, okay. I'm sorry, I'm taking more time. And the second thing, I have to share this with Chad more, but and Matt too. We have a very integrated approach at Carbine, where many of the creative people work together in cross disciplines. So we've put together a really incredible VO system for this game. All of the races and many of the characters have lots of deep personality that we wanted to express in their voices. We actually auditioned over 5,000 people to get the voices for this game. Some of them, like Fred Catashore, which is the voice of our trailer. We just fell in love with these people. But we put a lot of effort into what the characters say from Chad's side and how they sound from my side, and I'm really excited about it.
Sweet. Matt McCarthy.
All right, well, my favorite thing is really the characters and the personality. To me, that's the heart of WildStar in terms of our IP, in terms of our story, and it's really the reason that I love our game and want to play our game. So, like Charlie said, we make a huge effort in making sure that we understand the personality and that we're communicating that to you guys. And we cannot wait to announce the last 2 races, which will be hopefully happening very, very soon.
GG.
If you put drinks in the Mike Donatelli, he may announce it at any moment.
Why is it always about me drinking?
There's a lot of very
And why don't I have one?
But there have been a lot of interesting theories from you guys posted on the forums and stuff, and we're really excited to tell you whether you were right or whether you were wrong.
I like Paz. That's it.
Wow, that was short and sweet. Weird. So I can answer my own question. How many of you here were old school Ultima Online players? Yeah, quite a few. I gotta tell you, housing is awesome. It is really, really good stuff. And that notion that you can own a piece of the world and it's yours to do with what you please, to me is something that's been lacking in a lot of the MMOs that I've played. I know that you always are in love with your first love forever, and Ultima Online was mine, but man, this housing stuff is gonna blow your socks off.
Can I just add to that on the art team, one of our artists just made the toilet prop for housing.
And it flushes,
And there's a surprise in there too.
Wow.
And that's why I like housing. Flushable toilets.
Yeah, for me, touched on it a little bit when he was talking about Elder Game, but one of the coolest things, in my opinion, is what we call the world story, which is basically soloable content that happens after you get to cap. And the world story is sort of the resolution, right, of the 150, 200 hours of content that you've experienced on Nexus, you know. So you've been learning about the Elden and learning about the world groups and the other factions, and it's just a way for not just hardcore raiders, but everybody who wants to experience the resolution of the story of Planet Nexus and your role within it. Everybody gets to do that, and I think that's something that really sets us apart. It's going to be an episodic story that gets released over time, and I'm really excited for you guys to be able to take a look at that once we get it in.
Yeah, one of the learnings we had early on was that often in an MMO you try to cram the story into the raids, and you have zero ability to pick up the deep lore of what's going on while some dude is yelling at you to stand in the corner and cast more dots and, you know, bellowing for being a noob and all that good stuff. It's kind of tough to pick up on the subtleties of the lore. So pushing more of the lore and the deep story into, you know, ongoing, especially solo content or small group content, much better over raid content.
Mike Donatelli.
Oh, me. To be honest with you, I've got a lot of favorites, but Warplots is by far my favorite. I PvP a lot. I love Dark Age PvP, and what we did with Warplots is just, it's amazing. The ability for you and an enormous warband to fight against another, it had that same vibe where you're tearing stuff down, you're building stuff up, you're setting up your gameplay before you ever get into it. There's a lot of layers to that. I don't know how much of that I can go into, but it's pretty awesome. But I'm going to tie in, I'm going to steal time like Charlie did. Well, it is my way. So no, the combat, right? It's something I think we didn't touch on, but it ties into the PvP. Nice. So it's the combat. I mean, the combat you see fighting monsters, that's great. We have telegraphs on all the monsters in the game, but when that gets into the PvP arena and everybody, all your enemies are skill shotting you and you're doing all this stuff, and your healers running around like I've been warned not to be vulgar, so run around like a crazy person, throwing heals down and trying to skill shot heal your friends. It's just, it's insane. And couple that with the Warplots and the things you're building, and it's pretty amazing.
All right, so I want to do a quick survey of the panel, real fast. Dominion or Exile?
Dominion.
Exile.
Dominion.
Exile.
Exile.
Dominion. Yeah, nice. Awesome. I like it. So what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to play, Mike's going to queue up our Dominion and Exile videos. We're going to play them back to back.
Dominion first, then, right?
Yeah. That's the way it works, just saying.
Hello there. It appears that it has fallen to me to tell you about the Dominion. And as your luck would have it, I am by far the most qualified individual to do so. Shall we begin? About 1,600 years ago, the humans of planet Cassus were chosen by the Elden to establish a star-spanning empire. And since that time, through intimidation, political intrigue, and a score of impressive military conquests, the Dominion now exists as a shining example of strength and leadership for the rest of the pathetic vermin that infest the galaxy. Enough history. To the heroes of the Empire! The Dragon! Savage warriors! Fearless in the field of battle! Not exactly the most refined champs, but I wouldn't say that to their face. Mekari! Advanced robots engineered by the Elden themselves. Deadly assassins and super agents. A sense of humor? A bit lacking, I'm afraid. And not going to talk about this one. Lastly, there are the Cassians, my people, without whose continued courageousness, ambition, and stalwart leadership, the Dominion would undoubtedly crumble. I suppose I would be remiss if I did not mention the ongoing conflict with the so-called exiles on planet Nexus. And not to say that this ragtag alliance of refugees, rebels, and mercenaries poses any real threat. They just need a healthy dose of Dominion galactic diplomacy. Have I made myself clear? Good. I certainly hope so. Can someone give me a drink?
All right, let's go ahead and roll into the exile. We don't need it.
Howdy! It looks like I would be the one to tell you about the exiles. You see, normally they don't let me do this kind of thing on account of my mouth running where it ain't supposed to, and I'm just so excited! I think I might wet my britches. Okay, y'all know about the Dominion, right? Well, them bastards like to cause trouble. They ain't starting a war on your planet, then they're probably blockading with their starships or ravaging it with their freaking machines. Anyway, since a bunch of us got run off our home worlds, we figured it'd be a good idea to join forces, and that's how the exiles came to be. The end. Huh? You want me to keep going? Okay, you asked for it. Let me tell you about us. Humans, that is. We are stubborn folk. Ain't the kind to back down from a fight. And no, we ain't inbred. Most of us anyway. Then there's the Warren. You might call them scrappy. Protectors of nature and the like. They also got these big furry ears and tails. Some people are into that. Yeah, I know. Weird. These folks here? Well, it might be best if we just don't talk about them. Finally, we got the Graph. They're big, tough, giant rock boots, and they are bad ants. Of course, most of them got more boulders and brains. Yep, that means just what it sounds like. I'm sure you know about the planet Nexus. Well, one of us exiles found it, and now we're all heading there to make it our new home. Is the minions showed up and they're trying to take from us. You know what I say? Those stiff-necked, meat-bending bastards want to fight? Then bring it on! You okay? I think that went pretty well. Right?
So, because I can't see any of you, it could just be you in the audience. I don't know. I'd like to get a little poll, kind of an informal deal here. How many of you are exiled? Make some noise. Yeah! How many of you are Dominion? Excellent. The exiles are in trouble. Real quick, I wanted to talk about those two videos. This came out of, a lot of people say, oh, your marketing plan is great, and it is, but the real thing that's great is these videos that you see here are actually not, the genesis of those videos didn't come from a marketing plan as much as they came from a passion from our team to put together really funny videos that really showcase the character of our game and the personality of our races, and just the sense of humor that we at Carbide really enjoy being a part of. I want to talk to Matt just a little bit about the process, how it started, and then switch to Jeremy because we're going to reveal something that we haven't shared with anyone yet.
Alright, so I could probably talk for about like a week on the process and how that started, but I'll try to keep it short. Like Troy said, I'm not sure if all of you guys saw a few years back, we had a Blur trailer that kind of was our announcement trailer, and we had planned on keep doing the Blur trailers, and we really liked them. We thought they turned out great. But then like a few guys in our office was like, hey, I think we could do something really interesting and unique that most people haven't seen, especially in the MMO market. So basically, these guys stayed overnight, like the audio guys pitched in, everybody pitched in, and they just showed us this little video. And it was pretty amazing because it was made up of actually like B-roll audio that we had taken from that initial trailer, and they just spliced it together and they reanimated it and made this little short. It was hilarious. It was a Granok, and he was like lighting a bomb on this little creature and everything. And
I wish we had it. We didn't bring it. That's great.
So, it just just with good luck and good timing, we were looking to start a marketing campaign in videos. And we showed it to Jeremy, we showed it to NCSoft, and we were like, just do it. And so me, Chad, and Seth, our lead cinematics animator, we sat down and we put together a whole plan for a bunch of these things. And right now we have 3 of them out, and hopefully the next one is coming very, very soon, I think. So this is what we call our personality videos. And like we said, it's all done in-house. Aside from the 2D animated sequences, everything is done in our engine, which makes it really nice. We know that people like to see what is actually in the game, and most of that stuff is what is in the game. It's a really fun process sitting down with Chad and just kind of like me and him writing out the scripts and figuring out who these characters are. And we're about to, now that we have the personality videos down, we're about to start a new campaign of videos called Devspeak.
Yeah, so I want to actually have JG share a little bit about Devspeak, what it is, what we're doing, and then we're going to show you a Devspeak video that folks have not seen yet.
Yeah, the first ever Devspeak video, never publicly shown before. Here's what Devspeak is. We have a fundamental premise. That premise is that MMO gamers are not idiots. And with that, what we're really trying to do is take things on a very sort of non-BS level and start digging deeply into the systems of the game and speak, in normal MMO terms about them. We love existing MMO players. There's a crap ton of them. We're amongst them. And we are, aware that other ones exist. We're not scared to talk about them on a sort of normal basis. And so what we're doing with Devspeak is, personality trailers, they're fun. They're kind of marketing. They're like cool enough to get people excited about the game. This is talking to people who are already interested, and it's talking to knowledgeable gamers about what it's like, what our systems are at a level that's understandable, but also has our own sort of humor, our own sense of personality to it. And so with that, here is our first ever Devspeak video, going live today.
WildStar. This is Devspeak. Disclaimer time. This series is about getting into the nitty-gritty of WildStar. That said, we're going to start with something you might not expect. It's one of our core features. Housing. Let's start at the beginning. How do you get a house? Well, just find yourself a Protostar housing specialist. You'll see them pretty early on. Bring some cash and you are G2G. They'll send you straight to your sky plot to start building. You'll want to clear off any, shall we say, undesirables. Oh, what up? You can stay. First you can build a little campsite, then you'll get a starter home. Eventually you can buy some pretty crazy domiciles. Once it's built, you can customize and decorate the hell out of it. And really, you can do anything. Inside, outside, walls, roofs, doors, windows, wallpaper, furniture, it's all fair game. Put a floating chair and an upside-down table. See if I can. But housing in WildStar isn't this isolated secondary feature. It's actually woven into your entire gameplay experience. You'll find items for your house all over the game, from random drops to quest rewards to crafting. It will become your home base, and a place that provides you with a myriad of conveniences. An easy example? Logging off in your house grants you more rest XP than anywhere else. More cool items in your house, more rest XP. Remember how I said you can decorate the outside of your house? Well, you can actually construct buildings and facilities. We call them plugs. They fit into spots on your land called sockets. This is where the real action happens. Like to cook? Build a garden to harvest ingredients. Need some more? Build a mine. Can't bring deeps? Practice on a target demo. Tired of facing that mob of players around the public workbench? Build your own and craft in peace. Your plugs will give you daily quests, resources, and more. But they do take some time to build up. Don't worry, because you can teleport to your house anytime from anywhere. Housing is also a little bit of a social scene. Set your plot to allow your friends and neighbors to visit, or open it up to the public. It's not just about showing off. You'll be looking at some serious perks. Can't log on for a week? Get a buddy to maintain your garden, and they'll get a portion of the reward. Bandits raiding your neighbor's property? Lend a helping hand, gun, or sword, and earn yourself some bounty. Hardcore raider? How about a personal raid portal? With a buff. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. We are making a big effort to make player housing a major part of the game, and I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it as much as I do. Well, maybe not as as much as I do. This is only the tip of the iceberg for housing, but that's all I can show you for now. If you want more info, you can hit us up here or here. Remember, the devs are listening.
What do you think? We're super stoked to show that to you. But I want to actually give some credit where credit is due. Is Frost in here somewhere? Where are you? See, that's the voice of our Devspeak videos. Give him a round of applause.
The sultry tones of Mr. Frost.
If you give him $5, he'll do your ringtone for you.
Frost is not only one of our great voices, but he's a producer at the game, so we get to hear him shouting at people in that voice all the time.
Unfortunately, it's normally in the voice of Christopher Walken. So. All right, so what we're going to do right now, we've shown you a lot of information. We've shared a little bit about what we're doing here. We've got a game for you to play on the show floor, but we're kind of interested in hearing some of your questions. Now, here's the deal. We may not be able to answer everything. There are some things that we want to kind of keep as we move forward over the next few months. But if there's something on your mind, feel free to ask. Now, I believe we've got some microphones set up. I can't really see. Do we? I see one. I think I see one coming at this point. And so if you've got a question, please feel free to stand up behind that microphone. I think they're going to send one up over there. Now, I can't see you, so you have to play nice with each other.
The rumble ensues.
Yeah, I mean, you can take someone down. Don't think we get an enforcer on you.
And so here's a pro tip, by the way, when you set up your booth. Consider the color of your staff shirts, because if you're the same color as enforcers, you need to know where the bathrooms are, you need to know the standards. And we now have a deep understanding and sympathy for the enforcers by having accidentally, effectively worn their shirts for a day.
Yeah. All right, we'll start right here with the gentleman, I believe the gentleman?
I'm clean shaved, but I didn't know that.
There we go. Can we take the other lights?
Okay. Probably a pretty basic question here. This is for PC only, correct?
Yes.
If you have a Mac like me, then why should I be interested in this?
Well, you should be interested because there are things that we're doing to address that. We're of course not committing to doing a Mac client, but it's something that we're talking about. We've got a lot of game to develop and a lot of stuff to do over the next year, so that's our focus right now, is developing the game and getting it out.
Okay.
Let me give you sort of a straight dope answer on that too. On the side, one of our programmers has amused himself by making the game work on the Mac. So I don't know that we'll do an official release or not, but it's certainly theoretically possible.
Okay.
So that's just the honest God answer on it. Until then, there's a boot camp. Yeah, I know boot camp sucks. I use it too.
All right, thanks.
All righty, let's go over to this microphone over here. A person.
I'd just like to know, how hard is the separation between the factions? Can you ever PvE together, or is it only PvP separation?
You will see them run around the game. You can't interact with them in a positive way.
Can you at least talk to them, or is the language separated?
We are talking about exactly how that's going to be implemented, but I can tell you just from a story standpoint, which is being reflected in the design side, which is that we know it's very important for people to choose a side, right? To sort of have an allegiance, that it's something people get really passionate about. And so, at least in WildStar, we want that to be something that has teeth and that matters. And so, generally, probably don't want exiles and Dominion guys hand in hand going down and killing creatures.
So I guess the answer is we're talking about letting you talk. I think is the answer. All right, let's go to this guy. Or not, yeah. Go ahead.
How you doing, guys? Really excited about the game. I was wondering if you guys decided on the subscription model yet.
So we're going to talk business model probably over even the next few months. And so we've certainly talked a lot about it. We've been flexible in terms of how we've implemented, even because the market's been, these things take forever. Like game development's like 5 years plus if you're going to do a couple hundred or more hours of content. So we've actually sort of built flexibly, but we'll talk deeply about that probably, I would guess, by 2 months from now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just wanted to thank you guys for making the video lively and feel amazing. I hope the rest of the game is like that as well, along with the videos that you've already shown. It
That's a goal.
honestly sounds awesome. The best that I've heard in a long time for any game.
Right on. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
One of the things we commented on when we put this WildStar video out is the first time that we've heard a professional voice actor crack up in the middle of his takes or say, what the heck did I even just say? What the hell kind of game are you guys making?
I just wanted to say I really appreciate that comment. It makes me feel really good, and the whole team feel really good about all the hard work we put in on the VO side. It's just not me, but basically everybody at this table. And we have really high standards with the VO. What we wanted to do is to make sure that these people could act and deliver the personalities that were written in lore. And that's really hard to find, but we tried our best to really kill it.
Well, Charlie and team certainly makes it look effortless. And if you could do me a favor, all the people with compliments, could you move to the front of the line? All right, go ahead.
I was wondering, how is it going to work with story? Is it based on the race you play, based on the class you play? And is it based on what's going on in the world at that moment? So how does that work?
So there's multiple levels of stories that we're telling. Obviously, there's what we call local stories. So every zone, you go to a particular zone or a subzone, and there's a particular story that drives the content of that subzone, right? So the NPCs there have the things that they care about. And then there's bigger sort of ongoing stories, right? The big mystery of Nexus is what happened to the Elden. So as you play through all of our content, you're picking up hints about what happened to them. If you're a scientist, you're actually getting more information about that. And so that's what I would consider sort of a meta story. And then, there are other smaller stories, like there'll be some racial stories that are sort of specifically designed to tell the story of if you're an Orin, right? What happened?
Chime in on that, Chad?
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's a for instance. This story here, this is Vinball is a game that was played in our housing, not sort of spoiler, and this is a member of a Vinball team who crashed on this island. So we tell this nice serious story, and then there's a 40-foot tall, giant, rugby-looking guy who ate the rest of his football team, our Vinball team, right, I should say. So we tell both big and little stories within the context of it. There's also stuff tied to your path, too, because, your path missions are separate than all the other people wandering around the area.
The other thing as well is we definitely love to have fun and we have a good time with this stuff, but there are serious elements to this game as well. I mean, we try to hit a lot of different notes in the way that we tell our stories. Thanks.
I want to chime in one more thing about story. Our goal is always let people play the way they want to play. So it was really important, even though we want to get the story across and we want to get the personality across, that we're not just like overloading people with like a 30-minute cinematic in the middle of their gameplay experience, because we want people to play together as quickly as possible. So we try to give you a little bit everywhere. Like the VO might come across while you're talking to a quest giver or in a little quick cinematic, but you're also getting calls as you're fighting out in the world, just giving you little snippets here and there. That's the same thing with the story. You might get a data cube that tells you a little bit more about Nexus. So we like to see it as a whole, and if you're like a story geek, then you could probably play the game, find story everywhere, but it's never force-fed to you.
Also play a scientist to unlock more story than anyone else in all the Galactic Archives. Okay, PAX.
I guess I'm too.
That's okay.
No, you don't. All right, because I hear from you guys all the time. Go ahead.
Okay, first off, that was the sexiest housing system I've ever seen.
Nice.
Hours of my life so people to spend that. My question is with the 4 different paths that you guys have, I have friends that would be in all 4 of those. How does that work with playing as a group together? So can somebody who's like an explorer do just as much in like a war plot and like fighting as a soldier? How does that work?
The path stuff is, when we did the path, we looked at paths and we tried to focus on soldier killing stuff. That's what they want to do. But then a lot of people gave us, when we did our focus test, gave us feedback saying, hey, we'd all like to do those things. So we took all the mechanics and spread them throughout the game. You'll get it during quest content, and you just picking a path gives you more of that kind of content. So you will get to do everything. As far as Warplots and those things are concerned, you have special, I don't want to give too much away, but you have special abilities and you can do special things that other people can't, but it's never overpowering. We never want it to turn into a thing where people are like, we don't want an explorer, we need 3 soldiers, so we're keeping that very much in mind.
And isn't there some content that is made for partnerships between people who are soldiers and explorers and scientists?
Yeah, we call it crossing paths. I apologize. And what that just means is that when we design the content, we're trying to make sure that if you go to some kind of space Tortuga and you're fighting crazy space pirates in a space somewhere, space involved in that one. When you turn around and do that, there is, the explorer is, he's searching for a high height to call in snipers. You have a soldier who's going to do demolition, and he's going to clear out the play space. So everybody's tied together in with the content, but also with each other. So if you want to turn around and say, hey, in one of the zones we're looking at, not this zone, but one of the zones we're just looking at, you can open a secret underground passageway as an explorer that the scientist can go in and he can scan certain things inside, and he can do it quicker with the help of the explorer. Plus, paths share XP, so if you help someone else, you can share their XP. As a matter of fact, you can go in level 1, stand next to the first soldier holdout, and just help people do the soldier holdouts for the entire time you play the game. It would take you a long time, but you could do it.
So let me give a little context to the screen, by the way. Mike just fought a demonically possessed soda machine.
Yeah, Mike, can you do that again?
We're occasionally asked, hey, what makes WildStar different from other MMOs besides, Warplots and dynamic content and the terrain you can change and housing and, random respawning dungeons and discoveries and the path system. But besides those things, I haven't fought a lot of demonically possessed soda machines in most other MMOs. Although, yes, that's probably true.
All right, so we're going to do a little less talking up here and a little more answering of questions over here.
Yeah, I've been following you guys since it announced like 2 years ago, but I'm really excited about the game, and I'm really excited about paths. And you mentioned something about the settler path being a social path. Can you do any more detail on that? And also, is there going to be sort of fast travel mount system? Can you say anything about that?
Like Donatelli?
There will be mounts. And by using them, you will travel fast. We'll talk about that. As far as the paths are concerned, the settler, which we're not going to do a big deal about, just because we're going to save it, as Troy was saying, but we'll talk a little bit. The settler, his missions are based with helping people and helping more people that help him help them. It's a very social situation. Super social.
Yes, I think yes, the answer.
I've mastered the way of saying absolutely nothing.
But using a long sentence to do so.
Hey, let me give an example of social content that we can actually talk about. I'll be quick, I promise. The goal is the more people you help, the more settler XP you get. And so, for instance, that's you create a campfire, and everybody who uses the campfire gets a buff. And now the more people use the campfire, they all get buffed, and you get settler XP for each person who uses it. And it turns out this is a really interesting puzzle, because you cannot go on the web and find out the answer to where do you put your campfire that the most people use it. Because if you put it where everyone else's campfires are, people use yours less. The town is full of campfires. So maybe there's a dynamic event. Go find it, put your campfire down so that more people use it. These kind of puzzles that turn out are quite fun, and they haven't been delved into enough, I would argue, in the MMO space, because in box games you can experiment with all sorts of crazy combat systems and all that sort of stuff, but you can only experiment with social stuff in MMOs, really, or in persistent character games at least. And so we've enjoyed actually experimenting with a lot of that kind of stuff, and with the settler in particular.
For those of you watching the screen, you might see a mount that is helping you travel faster. Go ahead.
Hey guys, just want to say the game looks phenomenal, and I absolutely love the art style. I'm wondering what kind of led you to decide to follow that aesthetic way?
Matthew McCarson. I think I'll handle it. What happened? Apparently people don't like me. Okay. No, they think you're cute.
So, really what it came down to, early on in the project, we explored some different art styles. We knew from the get-go that we didn't want to do anything based in reality. There's nothing wrong with that. I love games like, Uncharted or Call of Duty and stuff like that that have a more realistic look, and there's a artistic part of that. But I'm kind of born and bred on comic books and Saturday morning cartoons and anime. So that's just where my passions lie, and that's kind of the team that we formed had the same, kind of upbringing. And so basically what we did was we threw a bunch of stuff out there and we saw what resonated with the team, and we started to pick stuff out, and then we evolved the style based off that. And people, that's kind of where the humor evolved too. People were really kind of, they would really dig into like the high personality stuff or the really stylized stuff. So that was kind of the foundation of the art style, and since then it's been kind of evolving over the past like 3 or 4 years.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey guys. I was hoping maybe you could expand a little more on what the concept of Warplots is, because one question I had is the video talked about how you and your party would kind of help use your money to build up your Warplot to make it more and more fortified. Is that one of those things? Is that something that after you have a player versus player match and your fortress takes damage, is it something that requires upkeep, or is it a permanent thing?
So what we're trying to do, here's the general concept of Warplots. We did housing, we're like, dude, housing's kind of fun. Like, you get to build stuff and it's cool, but what if you could actually make housing to crush? What if instead of, you work in a bunch of houses together, you're all building together a battleground, and then we plug that battleground into our world, let it fight against other battlegrounds while you're on it running around with, giant epic stuff destroying you at the same time. And then further, what if you could do stuff like capture raid bosses and pin them down on your warplot and then send them out to go beat up the other guy's warplot? We think that'd be cool. And so,
I agree.
Yeah, we do. It's kind of fun too. And so with that, with that overall conceit, we're designing Warplots to be a kind of hardcore game style. You don't do it while you're leveling up. It's a level cap only thing. It's an elder game. And we want it to be pretty hardcore. So we're actually looking to make it, destroy your enemy's plot, do damage to it. It needs to be regenerated, all that kind of thing. But with this, as with everything, we're an iterative development team, which is why things take forever sometimes. But it's a good thing, and so really what we need to do is get into closed beta, coming soon by the way, and then get some hardcore guilds in there to go try it out and beat stuff up, and then really get fan feedback on, what of it should be persistent, how annoying is it when people destroy all your stuff, then you gotta repair it all, or is it cool because it's actually putting more skin in the game. And so a lot of that stuff is honestly, it's TBD during beta. We actually listen to our fans.
How many of you have signed up for beta? Not all of you? Shame. Shame on you. On most of you. Some of you. Go ahead.
How's it going, guys? I'm actually more interested in the customization aspects that you have. Obviously, the housing is pretty intense and quite insane. Never really seen anything like that. With characters, though, is there any way you can go into more detail with that? More particularly, how you can customize your character's appearance?
Man, I feel like we might have planted some of these questions in the audience. a little too perfect.
Absolutely, and if things go well, I'll be talking more about that later on in PAX, hopefully tomorrow at our booth and on Sunday. But I'll kind of give you the brief one because it is a very thorough thing. So we have your bread and butter customization on all of our player races. So stuff like, hey, you can swap your face, you can different hairstyles. What we try to do is we try to identify something that is really unique to that race as well. Orin, as all you guys probably know, are known as the bunny people. Well, they're not actually bunny people. You could put different types of kitty ears and butterfly ears and all that stuff. So there's bat ears, and then the Drak can have all sorts of different types of horns. And obviously, like fun stuff like the Makari, you can pretty much do anything with a robot. So we have robo beards and all sorts of stuff to add to them. But once again, that's pretty basic, if you ask me. I mean, on top of all the colors and everything that you could do. We're layering in what we call advanced customization options, where you have bone sliders and everything. And right now that's in a pretty prototype beta form, but you could actually go on the show floor, and I noticed that a lot of people don't notice this, but if you go to the customize button, and it has your face type, there's a little icon next to that that's a gear and a ratchet, and that will actually take you to the bone slider, so you guys could actually like conform your faces to a bunch of different things.
PAX.
So anyway, is that, no, that's, no, that's right. Okay. Hopefully I'm not telling you lies. So that's just for character. We have a lot of plans for customization. One of the things that whenever we implement something that a player can get, such as housing or other things, I'm not going to announce too many things here, but we always ask, can you customize it? And our answer is always yes. So whenever we add anything for you guys to collect or anything, we want to give you guys the power to do as much to it as you possibly can. So.
All right, we are quickly running out of time. Thanks for the question. Thank you.
I know the game has crafting, but I don't actually know anything about it. Can I hear a little bit?
I'll give it a tiny bit. We'll talk about crafting. Probably, we have a big schedule of stuff we were talking about because we like keeping excitement going and building up to the buzz and then having billions of units sold and then all being rich and stuff. That's the short form marketing plan right there. With crafting, what we like doing is we like having lots of player, interaction across it. So as you've seen housing, for instance, almost all of that stuff, a healthy percentage of that stuff is actually player crafted so that you can, some that you get through vendors, some of the players are crafting for each other, some of it is quest rewards and drops, some of it is raid rewards and drops. And some of it's just buyable off the little gold piece vendor there. The goal is to have really healthy interaction across the economy on that front. So I promise we'll dig more into crafting in the ensuing months, and I also promise it's pretty damn cool. Like I'm a crafting fan personally, and so we have a good system for it.
In support of that as well, we're actually starting up some features on our community site, which is wildstar-online.com. We're going to be sitting down with our econ feature team, which are the folks that are kind of in charge of that particular feature, and we're going to interview them and ask them questions about that stuff.
No, let's do speed round questions. Ask anything, we'll answer as fast as possible.
Okay, duels?
Yes.
Can you do Warplots with people of your faction, like Exile versus Exile?
At the moment, yes. Probably it'll be that way at launch.
Cool.
Awesome, thank you. Next.
Will there be matchmaking for dungeons and raids?
Yes for dungeons. It's another question for raids.
Thank you. Next.
Will there be vendors on your house?
You can, at the moment, yeah, you can put in plugs and stuff that have vendors on them, and there are vendors who will sell you stuff for your house. So in either sense of that question.
And then, you can put items in every player from a color.
At the moment, no.
Alright, that's all.
Sorry.
I know it's cool, but...
Sorry for your luck. Next. Alright, so unfortunately we are very near out of time. Oh, they're giving me the time.
The red one.
Yeah, the red one. Hey folks, I know that we have a lot of people here who have questions. We're going to be having a dev social at our booth. And I think we're starting that at 5 o'clock. Please come by, ask any of us any questions. Honestly, we are so excited to be here to talk to you. This is why we're doing this. So please don't be afraid to come by the booth and pull someone aside. We've got lots of great things to share with you. Outside of that, I think that's it. Would you do me a favor and give these guys a round of applause? Say hi. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys.